Hola amiguitos, soy Fanny aquí otra vez, les traigo un nuevo video. En este video les traigo un invitado que es otra vez mi esposo, Nicolás. Como les había dicho, tiene que ser en inglés, entonces igual subtítulos aquí abajo. Este tema que vamos a tocar vamos a hablar de la democracia y de lo que nosotros creemos acerca de la democracia actual. So, about democracy, well, the way I will describe it is pretty much taking the majority opinion and based on that to do legislation or changes in society based on this majority of opinion. Would you agree with me on that definition? It's a very general.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, it's supposed to represent what the majority of people wants to be represented by.
So yeah, based on this majority, like we know that democracy is mainly in politics, but it also works for social change, for any legislation that affects pretty much everyone that lives in society. But we do agree that it takes kind of the opinion of the majority, and it sometimes leaves behind the minority opinion, and those minorities do not get heard. So I feel like that's a big issue nowadays, that like the majority gets to choose, and no matter what are the reasonings for that choosing, they kind of get their way, and the minority tends to be silenced completely.
I feel in a way that, like, you don't, when you're in those minority where you know whatever idea or candidate represents you are most likely not going to be elected, you can often, what happens is you're going to like vote for what seems the less worse option, but you don't really care for whoever or whatever options win. It's just, you know, you're not going to get what you really want.
Do you think that democracy actually works nowadays? Like, do you think, I do believe that is one of the biggest things that we have as a society. If we didn't have democracy, it kind of breaks a bunch of the things that we have, because we will have pretty much dictatorships or other kinds of things. But nowadays it does feel, I don't know, I cannot say everywhere in the world, but at least in Mexico and Canada, it does feel that you don't vote or you don't choose what you want, but you choose that what you don't want gets there, like the worst one. Do you think that based on that, like, could it be improved?
Well, yeah, so what currently might be the issues, not necessarily democracy in itself, it might be more the voting system, how like you only choose for, I mean, there's no perfect solution, but right now you only choose for your best. At least here, you only, or in the States, you only choose for one person, one party, and that's it. Whereas if maybe you could put in order my number one, my number two, three, four, like maybe that could be a little more representative. But you'll never have a true perfect system that will make everyone happy.
Yeah, that is impossible, and I guess that's one thing that we need to be aware of, that it's impossible to have everyone happy in a society. There is gonna be changes, there is gonna be decisions, and a decision will always have people unhappy. If you go too much to one side, the other side will be unhappy, and if you go too in the middle, usually both sides are unhappy. So there is no perfect way, like, to be honest. Some of the things that I feel, for me at least, that I think why democracy kind of lost a lot of the point, it's because it's uninformed. Most of the people actually vote and do their elections and decisions without having information, like basing themselves, like people don't really dedicate their time to choose properly, to see what are the proposals, to see nothing. They just vote to vote kind of thing. So like I do feel like and that part kind of like is losing the sense, because the idea is to get what the majority wants, but when people don't even say what they want, don't even know what they want, Is this an issue?
Yeah, I feel like let's say you were raised with a certain mentality, let's say conservative or Republican or Democrat or whatever. I feel it can influence a lot how you grow and how you perceive this. And maybe back then, like your parents' mentality like represented exactly what the party's ideas are, but by the time you get there, those ideas might have changed, and saying like, oh yeah, I'm still going with this when the entire world changed. And a lot of people, I voted for them back then, and I'm gonna vote for them for the rest of my life, instead of voting for what they truly feel represent them.
One of the things, well, I have told you in the past that I would like a more informed based democracy. I do believe that democracy, it's good. It's the way we need to go. Always the population should have a choice because it's their own society. So if you're living in society, at least that you have a choice of certain things. But the way that I feel like it should be is that you don't vote for a party or a person, but you vote for proposals. Like, it would be good that at least if you didn't inform yourself, if you didn't read about it, if you didn't check anything about it, but at least when you go to the ballots, like to present your ballot and to vote, that instead of seeing the name ABC and party ABC, you will actually see, okay, from these proposals, which one is the most interesting for you? And of course, each one of them will put some proposals there. I don't know. My idea of this is a little bit complicated, and of course, it's not easy. But my idea would be that every party puts down a list of their 20 proposals, the most interesting, and that they pretty much put on the ballots one of the proposals of each of those 20. And every ballot is different, so they do like 20 combinations pretty much of ballots. So when you come in, you don't see parties, you don't see colors, you just see proposals. So if you inform yourself, you know which party could put that, because you will know by heart your things. But if you didn't inform yourself, you will just come read what they are proposing and just choose for what you think is the best. So that's what I think it would be a better way of actually representing democracy, because as you said, sometimes you just say, like, you just vote because you were raised.
I think that would be a really cool idea, but I don't know, maybe they're considering how much more work it would be, so maybe that would take too much time, and like they don't want to invest the time and efforts into it, or maybe that could affect some parties and they don't want, because oh no, people would be informed that this party doesn't help environment and they don't want to help. So I wanted to bring you a little somewhere else. Currently, and at least for me, I feel like my vote doesn't mean anything. Like, I feel it's completely pointless. Like, I get you have a vote, but I feel that regardless if you vote or no, nothing changed, nothing matters. It's always the same two parties that wins. And like, I don't feel like I really have a say in this, regardless if I go vote. I don't think it changed jack shit.
I do feel that thing that you're feeling, it's actually a very common feeling. That's why the ratings or voting are usually on the 50s if it's very good, but more towards the 30% or something, like very, very low. People don't vote. I understand your feeling, as often even your own vote, you usually don't use it where you want. Like, if you're very concerned about the environment, but you know that the party that is related to environment will not have a chance, you're not gonna vote for it because you just don't want something worse to happen. So you're not really, that's my point, that we're not really putting in practice or right of voting. I feel like we're just living it in a way, like the way the system works right now does not allow us actually to have a choice, to have an opinion. I do think that it is important to vote, though. If you don't vote, you're pretty much saying, I don't care. And I don't think that's good, because it's a society where you're gonna live. There is obviously ways to be involved more, like be involved into community, like group, like a group of the government, where you actually make the candidates abide to their proposals or push your ideas as well. So there is ways to do it.
I completely disagree.
Okay, that's good.
No, I don't agree. I feel not voting, like if everyone that disagree will not go vote, it will show that like then most of the population don't believe in that and that it's garbage. I feel going is just voting for what is less worse, and like it I feel it makes them, oh look how many votes we have, but it's just like we don't hate you as much. I can see your point. It's like, oh well, if you don't go then you should not complain about it, but regardless if I go, one vote will not have changed nothing.
People usually don't vote, and young people tend to not vote at all. And well, like I do feel as well, it's because we are feeling what you're feeling, that pretty much the democracy system it's failing on us. Because no matter what you feel or what you want, you don't feel heard. And that's where like I feel like the voting system and the whole democracy idea, which is a good idea, it should change. My last idea about this, it does bring this binary thinking. Either you're environmentalist or you're not environmentalist. You like economy or you don't. This binary thinking brings a lot of issues where like not everybody is like cold or hot. There's a bunch of people that have like halfway in the middle. And that's the thing, the current parties do not represent the actual people. Like in myself, for example, I feel like I'm very progressist on the way I think, but I also care a lot about economy. I want jobs. I don't want like free things for everyone. I want programs that help people, but not that give money to people. So I do feel like I'm in the middle of things, and there is just no party that represents me. I feel pretty much an orphan of parties. Pretty much, I don't feel like I can vote for anybody. Like,
First of all, I do really approve and agree your idea that I think it would be way better if it was the proposal ways. I think it would be way better. I do agree with there's no party in the middle, so you gotta just, of course, like anyone will have parts that they like of any parties. They'll have some stuff that it feels nice for them, but it's hard to find something that completely englobes you. And another thing I wanted to bring, you did say that like if there was no democracy, we could not like decide, we would just be imposed stuff on us.
mm-hmm.
But don't you feel that right now we are being imposed garbage left and right, and we don't have a saying in it? Like we can see it even more with the pandemic.
That I disagree a tiny bit.
Okay.
Because like in here they propose a very strict restriction in Ontario. They propose a very strict one where like they give a bunch of power to the police, but the people right away said no, and they remove it within like 72 hours. It was done. Like it was not gonna happen because people just didn't want. So we do have a saying, but we do need to follow up. You cannot expect to put your vote and then magic. I do believe that democracy is needed in society. We do live in a society where you need to interact with a bunch of people that might or not think the same than you. I feel like we need, and it's the only way that we can say what we want. I do promote that people should vote, but I do also think that it's failing on us. It just is, and it feels like the government and the countries are not realizing or don't care about how much it's failing on us. They don't care that people are actually not voting. That the system is it feels rigged, the system at this point. It does. It feels like no matter what you're gonna vote, there is gonna be all these people that get paid to vote for something. There is gonna be all these people that get tricked onto something. There's all these people that are just voting because their family is from that party, and like it just feels like no matter how ideas or what ideas, like you could be a great candidate, and if you're in the wrong party, that great candidate is just gonna be like lost in space. So I do believe that there must be a better way of doing things, and that there is a general idea right now that just the democracy is failing on us. And
Also, something that I do think would need to change is I feel campaigning is awful. The way it is, it's not for your idea. You vote for a person. Like how Trump got to power in the first place was by himself, the image, what he was representing, not the party or the idea, like, well, I guess the idea, but like the same with like Trudeau or anything, that like, oh, people gonna vote for him just because of his appearance, because you might think he look good and vote for him, instead of because he have good ideas or something. Like I feel that needs to change. I mean, we saw in Canada with the NDP representative that like he got barely any votes or anything because of how he looked. People didn't give a chance, even though he could have amazing idea. He could have been a great leader. So I do feel that image should not be something. How the person looks should not be something that is taken into account, but is currently the case. So this was our conclusion about the democracy.
No, I gave my idea.
What idea?
I'm changing the world. Bueno, pues muchas gracias por ver este video un poquito en política, pero vienen las elecciones en México este año y quería hablar un poquito de esto porque pues no estoy recomendando ningún partido político, no estoy recomendando nada, pero simplemente que sí se siente este punto donde no nos sentimos con poder de decidir o de tomar ninguna decisión real que vaya a impactar nuestra vida. Es triste que a pesar de que ya estamos en el 2021, aún así nada haya cambiado y seguimos con la misma manera de votar que se hizo hace miles de años. Entonces yo sí recomiendo que la gente ya no vote por la persona o por el partido, vota por las propuestas, lee, chécate en general qué son las cosas que más te importan. Necesitas checar todo, pero checa al menos lo que te interesa y vota con raciocinia tu voto y no votes nada más por la persona. Espero que les haya gustado. Nico estuvo otra vez aquí y probablemente va a seguir estando porque es fácil que acepte. Le gusta salir en cámara. Nos vemos. Que les vaya bien. Bye.